Hi, I'm Tracy Brown from the LA Times, and we're here at Comic-Con with the group from The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
There's not a lot known about what's coming up. What are you excited about sharing with the fans that are waiting for this new series?
I mean, I think, this is my third time in San Diego Comic-Con, and what's striking about it is the intensity of passion that people bring here, the passion for the stories that they are in love with, the franchises that they're sort of devoted to. And I think fans of the original movie of The Dark Crystal, the thing that I'm most excited about is seeing quite how much it resembles the original film. I think that was always what was important to me as someone who signed on relatively late in the process of the project, that it was faithful and that it felt like the original, and I'm very glad to say that it's incredibly faithful, and I think that's what I'm excited for fans to see, that it's so in the spirit of the original film.
It's new fans, it's old fans, and there are a lot. It's been 37 years, right? 37 years, almost 38 now. The original movie came out, and it was a cult movie and became quite its following was quite vivid. Now, we want to present it back to the fans that were there 37 years ago, fans like Taron that grew up watching it later, on VHS, etc., and then new fans, people that don't know this world. It doesn't look like anything out there. That's the one thing. Like, it's the one project that you'll see at Comic-Con that just looks so different than anything else. Puppets, zero humans, puppets.
It's definitely the biggest puppet production ever made. Because The Dark Crystal, the original film, was at the time the biggest puppet production ever made. And I don't know, maybe it's a kind of a weird honor to say it's the biggest puppet production ever made, but I think we'll probably hold that trophy for quite some time because it was a huge show. Mm-hmm. And we used almost every puppeteer in England and had hundreds of people working on it. And probably the experience of a lifetime for anybody in the puppetry world. Like, if you're a puppeteer or a puppet builder, you would kill to be on a show like this, and it could be a career topper for a lot of people.
Well, the original Dark Crystal was, like you mentioned, is great. Like, the score is great, the puppets are great. What parts of the world, because we do only get a taste of the world, what parts of the world are you excited to explore?
The beauty of the original movie is that it's the two characters walk around this world in ruins, and I, as a fan, as a viewer, was left with so many questions of what, it's not so much what will become of them and what will become of this world, because it's sort of like save the day. It's what happened before. What brought this civilization that was so beautiful to ruins? Mm-hmm. So many questions. It's rare that you have a movie, a single movie that asks so many questions of what happened before. So that was the excitement for me, to explore this world, to answer these questions for fans, for and for new people, for myself. I just want to know. That's why I bought this project.
It was the original movie was in development for years before they made it, and my father, Jim Henson, and Brian Froud, the artist, and Frank Oz, his co-director, they had the opportunity to develop that for years, and they didn't even have a script originally. It was a world, and so returning to that world was actually pretty easy. It's something we've been passionate to do for many years because it felt like a world that had a past, a present, a future. Mm-hmm. You could go to different parts of that land. And we were able to do that in the show. The show has a tremendous amount of scope, and we've created, or in our mind, we've recreated the 7 original clan of Gelflings and the different environments that they live in, how they look. And it was all designed by Brian Froud and his family, Wendy Froud and Toby Froud. They all came back, and that's really meaningful for people who love The Dark Crystal to know that it has the DNA of the original designer, who's a very vibrant, active designer, and was with us throughout the shoot.
It's got a real sort of family affair feel to it, in terms of the spirit of how the original was made. Toby, I believe, was the baby in Labyrinth.
He was.
Which I was incredibly excited about when I met him, because I quote that song on average twice a week. But that, for me, as a fan and now a part of it, was incredibly exciting to know that there's so much heritage involved with the making of it.
It's a legacy. It's a legacy movie. It's a legacy show. Yes, so many families. Jim Henson, Lisa Henson. Your father showed this movie to you. But, I brought my family. My wife's working with me on this project. It's made by families for families. It's really, the movie was absolutely amazing to enjoy with your parents as a kid, and I hope this show does the same thing for this generation.
It's like really an all-audience show,
Absolutely.
and maybe there aren't so many shows that are for everybody, and we feel like this, should be something everybody would be willing to sample. And I am so aware that most people will not have seen an all-puppet show, and thanks to the amazing voices. Taron was our first person to commit to do a voice, and a cavalcade of incredible people came on after he did. And then Louis' shooting of it, we have, we're presenting puppets like you've never seen them before, and particularly the way Louis has shot the show. It's so dynamic, and I think people will maybe even forget they're watching puppets.
Taron, can you tell us a little bit about the character you play?
Yes, for my character, I can tell you some things. There's things I definitely can't tell you. But Rian, for him, it's a sort of coming of age story. He is a very bold, very intrepid young man who essentially is living in a world that isn't exactly as it seems, because at the start of the story, I'm trying to remember the talking points I've been given and trying not to deviate from what's allowed and acceptable. At the start of the story, the Skeksis are imperfect, but aren't perceived by the Gelfling to be anything other than slightly imperfect, really. They're certainly not the villains that we know them to be if you've seen the original movie. Something happens which is shocking and horrifying and leads him on a path of discovery that essentially unravels everything. So he has to go on this kind of quest to... really don't know what I'm allowed to say. But he has to go on a quest to make his fellow Gelfling aware of what is going on.
And he kind of unifies the Gelfling.
He does, yeah.
Because they live all over the land.
There's different tribes, different factions, and they all need to come together to try and solve some of the evils that he becomes aware of. I think if I say anything else, then the Netflix police will come and put me in cuffs.
Yes. So I know I have to wrap up. But
Thank you for wearing signature purple, by the way, for our interview.
Yeah. I have one last question. How many fizz gigs do we get to see? How much
more than one?
More than one. You get to see quite a few. Yeah.
Or mini Chewbaccas, as I like to call them.
And they do a lot. They're quite, they're really an integral part of the story. If you love his gigs, you will be very happy.
And we actually had Dave Goltz from the Muppets, who performed Fizzgig in the original movie. He came back and did one of the best Fizzgigs.
Great. All right. I know we're out of time. Thank you for stopping by the Other Time Studio.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.